You know that moment when someone is clearly interested in your offer, they're engaged, they're asking smart questions, they're nodding along, and then they pause. Maybe they say they need to think about it. Maybe they disappear quietly. Maybe they circle back weeks later, still unsure. And if you've been in business for more than 5 minutes, you've probably been told what that means. They're resistant. They're not confident enough. They don't trust you yet. They need more urgency. They're not a serious buyer. But here's the thing. A lot of times that interpretation is completely wrong because people don't usually hesitate before they want something. They hesitate after they want it. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because this misunderstanding quietly breaks a lot of otherwise good marketing. Most marketing advice treats hesitation like a surface level objection. If someone pauses, the advice sounds like add urgency, add proof, add pressure, add reassurance, add more information. And sometimes that works, especially with early stage buyers and lower risk decisions. But if your audience is experienced, if they've already invested before, if they're thoughtful decision makers, those tactics don't reduce hesitation. They actually increase it. And the reason is simple, but rarely named. Hesitation isn't resistance. It's self-protection. When someone hesitates, they're not pushing you away. They're checking in with themselves. They're asking questions like, what happens if it doesn't work? What happens if it works but creates a bigger problem? Am I ready for what this actually requires of me? Will I regret this version of the decision later? None of those questions are about trust in you. They're about trust in themselves, their timing, their capacity, their ability to live with the outcome. That's self-protection. And it's nervous system response, not a logical one. You cannot logic someone out of a moment where their body is asking, is this safe for me? This is where things get interesting. The more experienced your buyer is, the more likely they are to hesitate, not less. Because experienced buyers have made expensive decisions before, have lived with the consequences, know the good marketing doesn't guarantee good outcomes, and understands trade-offs. So when they pause, it's not because they don't get it, it's because they do. They know that buying isn't just a transaction, it's a commitment. To time, to energy, to change, to identity. That's why hesitation often shows up after clarity, not before it. There's a paradox that most people miss. The better your offer is, the more aligned it is, the more it challenges the buyer's current way of doing things, the more hesitation you may see. Because meaningful offers don't just solve problems, they disrupt equilibrium. And disruption, even positive disruption, triggers caution. So when someone pauses at a good offer, that's not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something matters. This is where a lot of marketing unintentionally makes things worse. When hesitation shows up, the instinct is to push harder, speed things up, collapse the decision window, manufacture momentum. But pressure doesn't create safety. And more information doesn't resolve emotional risk. In fact, for many buyers, those tactics signal the decision isn't allowed to be thoughtful, which increases the very thing that you're trying to remove. So if hesitation isn't resistance, and it's not a confidence gap, and it's not a trust issue, the real question isn't, how do I get people to stop hesitating? It's what still feels unsafe for them here. Not unsafe because of you, unsafe because of what the decision is asking of them. When you shift into that question, everything changes. Your messaging, your pacing, your follow-ups, your offers, the client experience, you stop trying to convince and you start designing for safety. If people are hesitating around your offer, it's not a signal to escalate. It's a signal to listen more carefully to the fears that aren't objections, to the risks they can't quite articulate, to the internal negotiations they're having quietly. This is one of those places where marketing stops being about persuasion and starts being about understanding. And when you get that part right, conversion stops feeling like a fight. It starts feeling like recognition.